All right, welcome in everyone. Welcome to UAWD's final training of the year. It's on organizing around health and safety. So if you haven't already, you can go ahead and put your name and local and what sector you're coming from in the chat. My name's Alex Brunsmith. I'm a member of Local 2320, and I'm on the UAWD steering committee. And I'm really excited about this training tonight. So just to give a brief overview, so we're going to start off with some amazing people who have fought for and won safer working conditions in their own plants or shop floors. And then we're going to get, Saul is going to take us through some slides to give us more information about how we can organize around health and safety ourselves. If you're not muted, please mute yourself. Thanks, everyone. We're going to do some breakout groups for a while and kind of talk about what we can do in our own shops, taking the learnings from the slides and from the people we've heard from today on the panel. And then we're going to do some report backs and call it a night. So shouldn't be too long, but it's going to be jam-packed with a lot of great information. So we have three panelists here today. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to talk about who this workshop is for. So it's for union reps and rank and file members. So whether or not you have an elected position in your local, whether you're a steward, a committee person, or just a rank and file member, or thinking about running for steward or committee person, this training is for you. It should give us some great tools. And really anyone dealing with workplace safety issues, which can encompass a really broad range of things, right? Not just if you're an auto worker in your plant, but across multiple different sectors, we all face different safety issues. So this should be good for a variety of different issues we face. So just to introduce our panelists, so we're going to hear from three people. Is David on, Becca? Okay, maybe not.
So David's not able to join us, but we're going to hear from another member of his local, Scott, about the story that David was going to share.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. So we're going to hear from Scott Holdeson from Local 551, Chicago Ford Assembly. Then we're going to hear from Mary Surdick from Local 4929, a lifeguard at Western Washington University. And then Jean DeSheman's going to round us off, Vice President of Local 1753, General Motors Lansing, CCA, Customer Care and After Sale. So Scott, if you can take us away and tell us a little bit about what you've done in your shop to organize around health and safety.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Alex. Thank you everyone for joining tonight. Yeah, in our shop, right after the stand-up strike, well, let me start by saying, I work at Ford in Chicago, the Chicago assembly plant where we make the Explorers and the Aviators, Lincoln Aviators. And right after the stand-up strike, we started getting a rash of break-ins into cars in our parking lots. And around February of this year, there was a uptick in these break-ins, and we decided we had to do something about it because the company wasn't doing anything about it. The union had filed a couple of grievances, but they were just for monetary recovery from the company. And this was obviously an issue that where people could get hurt. If you came out on break and your car was being broken into or vandalized, the chances are that the person that was doing the damage to your vehicle or getting ready to steal your vehicle was armed. And coming out of work, you're not. So we decided to start a petition. And we started a petition the Sunday before the union meeting. And in 1 week, we gathered over 1,000 signatures on that petition. And the petition demanded that the company install gates to protect our vehicles, just like they have gates to protect their parts. And also that a health and safety grievance be filed because the grievances that had been filed were just monetary at that point. And we all know health and safety grievances have more impact, at least in auto contracts, than a regular grievance. So, you know, we gathered these 1,000 signatures and we went to the union meeting and we presented them to the bargaining team. Now, the bargaining team was also in local contract negotiations. So when they got these, they kind of brushed us off. They told us that the company doesn't recognize petitions. They only recognize us, the bargaining team, right? But lo and behold, within a couple of months, they had broken ground to put in those gates at the entrances to our employee parking lots. So we had a small victory there. And then when they finished local contract negotiations, they had inserted the safety gates, the parking lot gates into our local agreement. So we were, yeah, there's Becca showing some of the results. So, you know, we were pleased that it was in our local agreement, but had we not launched a petition drive and had we not brought this issue from the membership to our bargaining team, you know, then this would have never happened. But when the bargaining team kind of blew us off, we told them that this was us trying to help you get this win for our local. And when we presented it to them, we also offered to help escalate to the company. We offered to do a march on the boss if necessary, but that didn't end up being necessary. They started working on it. They also beefed up security in the parking lots, so there was a more of a presence of security guards with the vehicles with their lights on. So this was a clear win for the petition drive, and it shows that membership action can bring about results, but it has to be you working together with your coworkers to get the results that you need. And with that, I think I can wrap it up and say, you know, keep fighting.
Thanks so much, Scott. That was really great to hear about. All right, we have Mary next from a lifeguard at Western Washington University. Mary, can you talk to us about what you've been doing?
Yes. Hi. So I am in a little bit of a unique situation compared to some of you guys here. And I'll get to that. But yeah, I'm an undergraduate student employee at Western Washington University. And this last spring, my fellow student employees went on strike and were able to complete the bargaining process to win the first contract and form Local 4929. We're also called Western Academic Workers United, or WAWU. But one problem with that is that half of all of the student employees here at Western, including me, are not protected by this contract. This contract was bargained for by educational student employees who do tutoring, teaching assistance, and research work. And then I am classified as an operational employee. I am a lifeguard at the pool on campus, but operational jobs also include resident advisors, custodians, and many more miscellaneous jobs that make the university actually be able to operate. And we are not covered by the union contract. We are not a part of the local yet. So like when I'm telling a lot of people about our unionization process, they have the first thought, and the thought of our bosses is often that we're a bunch of young college kids working these jobs for some extra spending money. But like a lot of us pay our tuition and rent from our paychecks that we get at our on-campus jobs. We're working to make ends meet just like everybody else. And the university would not operate without our labor. So we shouldn't be treated as less valuable. We're planning to file with the state labor board in the new year and start bargaining with the university for our first contract. But there's been countless issues with our administration that they've refused to fix and will continue to ignore because we don't have a contract right now. Currently, educational workers with their contract accrue sick leave at double the rate of operational workers. They are also entitled to safety training and equipment provided by the university, and we are not. I have had multiple coworkers in the last year get concussions on the job, and little to no added precautions have been taken since then. We also had a patron pass away from a cardiac event while at the pool this spring, and our manager had little to no follow-up to check in on the well-being of the lifeguards who were on duty when it happened, to check on how they were doing mentally, how they were able to like keep coming to the job. And a couple of them weren't able to keep working because it was a very traumatic event and they weren't being taken care of. Um, we're being trusted with saving people's lives, and we're still being treated like little kids who aren't doing real work. And when we have grievances, because we don't have a union contract right now, we have to just hope that our supervisors and the university won't choose to turn a blind eye. We still have been organizing, and in early 2024, the lifeguards all wrote and signed on to a 5-page letter to the university demanding new safety equipment, such as new wetsuits, because the ones we had been falling apart, and also non-slip mats for the pool deck to prevent injuries from falling. We also expressed concern for many changes that were being made in our workplace without consulting us. And in response to this letter, we did get some new changes, but for most of it, the university essentially laughed in our face. Like we, they just haven't been making changes, and they haven't been taking us seriously. We also lack proper anti-harassment protections. And I had a coworker this year who ended up needing to quit because our boss was unwilling to make reasonable accommodations to make them more comfortable at work after they had been a victim of harassment. These working conditions are untenable and have been a driving force in getting people to sign authorization cards so that we can reach a majority and unionize, and in getting folks involved in organizing. We've been having a lot of conversations with workers around campus in a multitude of jobs to ask about their health and safety needs. And this process is very much still ongoing because we don't have a contract yet, but the work of organizing and building a strong community of workers has been incredibly rewarding. I think that's about it. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to have more conversations with my UAW siblings here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mary. It sounds like a really interesting way to get people organized in anticipation for your contract fight, and definitely good luck, and let us know how we can support. All right, so Jean is going to close us out on the panel portion of our training today. Jean, take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here today. Our safety issue is quite unique. We're currently going through it right now, and we've successfully accomplished this in the past where we had an egregious safety violation and we fight to get it corrected. Currently, what we got going on, so we're a CCA, so it's a warehouse, and we're a smaller local than most of General Motors. So where we are, we deal at times, in the past, it was consistent, was rapid abuse, was egregious hostilities from the management, the lies, the gaslighting, the manipulation. So when we fight these fights, when we win, that goes away and we get that fairy tale relationship where they're not violating anything. Well, that relationship ended 8 weeks ago. We got a safety violation down in our warehouse department, the 1000s. Management has an entire lane blocked, main lane. So all the aisles that this gentleman has to pick from are blocked on one end. That means he can't get to the fire extinguishers, he can't get to the fire door, and it's just egregious. Now, we've been fighting this fight for a year and a half. The good thing is sometimes time does matter because it creates a pattern. The pattern that Lansing CCA has, we grieve the issue, they have a meeting, they fix the issue, and then 2 weeks later, they put the issue back. And then it's rinse and repeat. You grieve it, meeting, fix, grievance, meeting, fix. They have no intentions on fixing it because what's going on is they're unloading all the trailers. They want the product there. And it's the same thing in my pipe department. My pipe department, all the lanes they pick from are blocked, double layered, triple layers of pipe boxes. These guys can't work in it. It's incredibly dangerous. So if our management team does not want to fix this, and that pattern shows that they're not going to fix it, that this actually benefits them, there are times when we got to get hostile. So that fairy tale relationship, we can't be afraid to burn the bridges down. So luckily, bridges are made of wood, and we all smoke cigarettes or joints and stuff. So we all have lighters. Burn them, sons of bitches, right? So right now, we wrote a grievance for the two areas, and since they're dragging their feet, my membership, these guys are killers, man. We don't like management. As to date, we got 18 of them fired, and safety is the way we do this, right? So we all know our management's movements. And if we pay attention, especially at a time like this, we see them violate everything and we catch them on everything. So now we have 2 grievances. Those 2 grievances turn into 8 grievances. And what we're doing is applying pressure, right? And some of these tactics work a lot. So for the past 8 weeks, we have 8 serious grievances. We have 2 egregious safety violations. And the pressure that we put on it, the isolation that we did with our management team has driven them to paranoia. With now, once they're at that stage, they make really bad decisions. And this week was a climax in our fight. So our situation is actually going to be fixed either next week or right after the holidays. Because what they did was, I had to write a grievance against my counterpart. I'm a committee man as well. So my counterpart is the shift supervisor. Some people call him the foreman. I had to write him a grievance, and it was fun to do. But the way he handled that, just like any typical supervisor, the ego gets to the best of them, and then it's tit for tat, and it's vindictive behavior, and they just want to retaliate. Well, he made a big mistake. He kicked out my alternate for not wearing a seatbelt on a parked vehicle, right? So the disciplinary meeting was rushed, pushed, no investigation, and the biggest mistake he made, he's the judge, he's the juror, and he's the witness. That's not allowed. UAW, we go by the 37 tests, and they failed each and every one of the just cause tests. So we got them exactly where we need them. So next week, we apply immense amount of pressure. Now we put the committee calls on the floor. And when we do committee calls, we do group calls. And when we do group calls, we do it at strategic points of the day, right? Because we're also dealing with a quality issue where these guys are lying to us. So now we shut down each department each day, right in the middle at the most stressful point of the day for management. And then they're going to be held responsible for that time of lost production. And this is where they start to drop like flies. Right. So once we do this, the white flag goes up because all their bosses come back and now they got to answer to all this mess. So that's it. It's successful.
I like the Oscar style music. Thanks, Jean. I know the grievance meeting, not fixing patterns, something a lot of people can relate to here. Okay, so those are our great panelists. Thank you, all 3 of you for talking about what you did in your shop. We're going to go through some slides now that'll give you all steps for addressing health and safety issues. And those are going to be presented by Saul Falzoni, Local 12 Toledo Jeep, and he was a transfer from Local 1268, the shuttered Belvedere plant, and he's a stock driver. Saul, take it away.
Hi there. I'm currently not an elected official. I am working on first shift at my plant. We're going to go over Section 2, filing and handling health and safety grievances. So common health and safety issues are PPE, company provided gloves, vests, glasses, etc. Pinch points where your body can get caught when you're working on an assembly line. I broke this finger in Toledo. So it's a danger. The no-go sticks are important for safety to come and check the machines. Unsanitary bathrooms or break rooms, I don't know about your guys' workplaces, but some of them are worse than gas stations here. So we definitely need to focus on keeping our places safe and clean. We can have defective equipment such as vehicles, hoists, racks, etc. In stock, we have a lot of vehicles that are barely operating. I'm sorry, give me a second. Thought I had this thing on mute. So in stock, we have a lot of vehicles where the lights won't work. My forklift, the horn didn't work. I refuse to use it. We can have ventilation issues. So if you have a paint department or a stamping department where there's a lot of metal dust in the air, we can have issues like that you could grieve over. Roof and door leaks. I don't know about your guys' buildings, but a lot of these old manufacturing buildings, they leak like a sieve. And that can cause slippery surfaces, wet areas, ice and walk paths, etc. If you have a water test area, if you're producing cars, that can be very slippery as well. You should definitely learn what your contract says. So this is what I work for Stellantis, and this is what our contract specifically says. It says the company agrees to recognize its obligation to provide a safe and healthful working environment for employees. The implementation of actions to help our employees realize a healthy, injury-free work environment is a leadership responsibility. Responsibility for health and safety matters remains, however, with the company. So to TLDR it and take the legal speak out, it's their responsibility to make sure that you're safe. So before you write a grievance, you should definitely always report the issue to management. The reason why is it can be the quickest and easiest way to start a paper trail. You're going to want that paper trail for if you have to go to a grievance. Your rep will likely ask if you've done this before you even file a grievance. Every shop has different standard processes. At ours, they're called pocket cards, but they may just be a verbal notice or a little tag that you put on unsafe equipment. So what can you file a grievance over? You can file it over a violation of the contract, like we went through earlier, a violation of company policies and procedures. For us, that's called an SOC violation. Unfair treatment to an individual or group, a violation of a past practice, or violation of laws. Either that be OSHA laws or that could be other health and safety laws. So when is filing a grievance the most important? So if management is not interested in resolving this issue in a timely manner, you need to grieve it. So I've had times where I've had to go and I've given them the pocket card and boom, they get it done that day. I don't have to grieve, it gets done. I've had other times where like we had water test where it was slippery, it was just slick concrete and we had to get sand added to the paint to make it grip properly. That took us like 3 months and we had to grieve with a bunch of people to get it actually done. So grievances are the most important when the issue is difficult or expensive to fix. So what are the essential components of a grievance? Not all of us have filed one before. It's who was involved, what happened in detail. So that means if you're the one involved, I would assume, hopefully if you have people in the area on your team, they would be great to add to the grievance. What happened? We could say like when I broke my finger. I broke my finger because the machine was not safe. When did it occur? Where did it occur? And why was it a contract violation? Obviously, it's a contract violation. If we are looking, it's their job to keep us safe. And it's always good to have witnesses. And you should always have an idea of what you want to do to fix it. That is a great, powerful thing to give your steward when you file a grievance. So how do you supercharge your grievance? You can request a remedy that gets to the root cause. You know, if the roof is leaking, you don't just put you want a patch over the little leak, put something big. You want the whole roof repaired. That gives your committee people and your steward room to negotiate. You should definitely talk with your coworkers, like what they were talking about earlier at the Ford plant. They had all those people petition, and that can definitely supercharge your grievance if you have more people in your area sign on. And you should verify that your grievance requests the relevant information. That's more so for the union steward side, but you want to make sure that they're getting injury records, measurements of the noise level or air contaminants and airflow, photos of the video or accidents, and many more. So you will have to check with your local. For us, we're not allowed to take pictures inside, but our stewards are. So I don't want you to get in trouble, but make sure you're not violating your local contract. So going beyond the grievance process. So what if the issue is too urgent for a grievance? You can refuse to work over a safety issue, but only if you're in immediate danger. Now, I have refused to work before because there were puddles in an aisleway and I'm driving a forklift I'm not going through that aisleway, because if my forklift slips and crashes into something, I'm going to get a ticket. They're not going to let you out of it, and I could get hurt or someone else could get hurt. You gotta believe you're in immediate danger. That means like it can't just be something really small. It's got to be something that has an obvious pose of danger, like that water on the floor. Um, there must be enough time due to the urgency of the hazard to get it corrected through. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. There must not be enough time to get it corrected through regular channels. So, like I was talking earlier, that puddle of water, it's going to take a while for our maintenance people to come down and mop that up. And obviously, they're not going to fix the roof right away. So, that's something where you can refuse to work. So what if my grievance does not get the problem resolved? I'm sure we've all been at a place where our grievance has just languished. Maybe you don't have the best steward. Maybe you don't have the best committee person. That's the honest truth about it. Sometimes you don't have the best people to go to. So you could supercharge the grievance by asking others to sign on and make a plan of action. What that means is you can either have them sign on with your grievance, or you could do a petition. And having more people involved generates a lot more pressure on management. You should definitely start by approaching the people most affected by the issue one-on-one. If you're not a people person, I get it. But if you can go and talk to your coworkers and be like, hey, look, like they were talking about earlier, people are having their cars stolen. That's scary. That's kind of terrifying. Or people breaking into your vehicles. I'm sure they had pretty much everyone sign on for that. And if you can get the people behind you, that's going to be the best way to move forward. So you want to bring your coworkers into the fight. You got to learn where your coworkers stand and who's angry and willing to take action. So, I mean, some of the best coworkers you're going to use, like for your grievances and for your safety issues, are going to be the angry ones, because they're going to be loud and they're going to be ready to take action on this. And we all got to try our best to kind of pull people more into the core, pull more people to actually getting more grievances done and getting more pressure on the union and management to get things done. And winning on issues people care about, it builds the confidence and it brings people closer to the center. So if you're winning a big thing like winning those gates, I mean, everyone sees it every day. Everyone's gonna talk about it, and that's gonna show the power that we have. So always be ready to escalate the issue. I have personally had operators when I was a team leader back home in Belvedere who would, if I didn't have gloves for them, they refuse to work and stop the line, because it's the company's job to pay for those gloves. We don't have to supply them ourselves. The company has to supply them. So having, those little actions to build up confidence for actual big actions. We had a dangerous hoist that I had the same guy who he didn't want to work if he didn't have gloves, damn straight. And, I put him on the hoist job and he was like, this thing's not safe. And I was like, yeah, let's call safety down. Those people are good assets. You always got to think, what's been tried so far? Like, who was involved and did it work? I really care about how you get things to work. It's about working safe. We had a guy that I've known for quite a while pass away at my plant here. And it's really sad and tragic. No one deserves to die for a paycheck. So, I mean, that could be delivering a petition to management, circulating the petition, and always make sure you're filing these grievances. And you can always request like the information of what step your grievance is at and where it's going from your steward if you feel like they're not actually following through. And always be ready to push it up that chain. Your steward might not be the greatest, but you can push it up to the committeeman and up and up and up. Like, you got to be willing to fight for these things. And that's what's really going to show people we can come together as a union and be strong.
Thanks so much for coming to our training. We just have a few quick plugs at the end. First, I think most people, almost everyone here is a UAWD member, but I'm going to put the Join UAWD link in the chat in case any of you aren't. We are also planning a training series for future stewards and committee people in the new year. So just be on the lookout for that. We don't have exact dates yet, but should be really, really great. And then finally, you can check out some of the trainings we've already done, which are on our YouTube page. They include legal rights of union stewards training, how to hold a practice picket, all sorts of things. So definitely go ahead and check those out. And we'll see you at the next training. But thanks all for coming, and happy holidays and happy New Year.